Let's go and make a video. Let's go in the gun room. I'll try again in a bit. Hi everyone, Shane here. Today's video is a bit of a mixed bunch. It's a review on this Reximex Mito that I've now owned since last December the 18th. I will have a review of this latest one that I only got a couple of days ago. I've shot it a couple of times in my garden, but this is an SMK Victory CP1/M. It's the upgraded version because it comes with a magazine, but we'll get into that later. I haven't been out much in the last 6 weeks. The only times I've been out, I've actually cancelled a couple of times. I've meant to go shooting, and but I did go yesterday, and my son was with his new gun, his first ever PCP that he's ever bought and owned, a Gamma Boxer. I'll put a clip of that in, shooting at 50 yards, a little bomb at Thurleston Air Gun and Shooting Centre. And also I've been quite privileged to shoot the quite a few high-end guns that I'm not going to review on the channel. That I could have reviewed a couple of them, but they're not sort of mainstream for the masses sort of people who are spending a couple of £1,000 on an air rifle. It's not in everyone's budget, and also people that could afford it probably won't want to buy one for whatever reason. So I won't be reviewing such guns, but I was lucky enough myself to shoot the Red Wolf, although in this case it was a blue example. So thanks very much to Abby for letting me shoot her gun, and I had quite a few shots with it. And she also went on to say I could do a review of it if I wanted to, but as I say, got no plans of doing that because it's not a gun for the masses. It's for just a select few people. What else is in store? Right, I've got a big long list of guns that I've got up to review in the very near future, depending on the weather. So this Reximex Mito, I'll come on to this in a bit after I've got through the rest of the stuff, but I know this won't appeal, this video, to most people unless you're interested in buying one of these guns. The video will probably be totally boring to you, so I can understand if you skip off. And then after that, in the pistol range of world, is this little one I just told you about. I'll do a review on that as well. Very different price brackets. This one's standard price £450 to buy the Reximex Mito, and I'll tell you a few things that most other reviewers have not said about this gun, and I'm not saying they all share the same problems, but I haven't got a cupboard full of guns or a shop. I'm not trying to sell these things. I don't promote guns to sell or make any money whatsoever. In fact, to this day, since I started my channel, I've never even had a free tin of pellets off anybody. So I don't promote any gun shops. I'm not affiliated with any gun shops or anybody. I don't make any money at this game. It's my personal hobby. I'm the same as you, with the exception that I started shooting guns, spring guns, when I was 12. I'm now 58. It's always been sort of a part-time passion and hobby. I've learnt a few things. I don't claim to be an expert, but I know what I know and the way I go about things. And the reason I've gone on to pistols is because, to be quite honest and frank and truthful, bench resting guns is a bit boring, or so I've come to think. I only go shooting to shooting clubs now for the camaraderie, to have a laugh and a joke with people and to make a few friends. The actual shooting side of it's just boring. You know, my son's just got back into it. He started as a young lad. He's in his 30s, and he's just acquired his first PCP. He has shot a PCP a few times before, and a few different models, including the Red Wolf, but he's not he's only just got back into the hobby very recently, in the last couple of months I would say. And he got his new gun that he's only had a couple of days, his first time at the shooting club, and it successfully, almost every shot he hit the bell at 50 yards. It's a hole roughly the size of a 2p piece at 50 yards, and 9 times out of 10 he hit it every time. I do the same. In fact, bell. Try again. This is going to sound a bit big-headed now, but this is why I've got bored of it. He says, have a shot at my gun, Dad. And I stood there. I did have witnesses to this, by the way. And I got his gun, held it there, stood there, free hand, ping, shot the bell. I know I couldn't do it many times, that was just a fluke lucky shot, but I did it freehand, 50 yards, and hit the bell. I was quite, put a bit of a smile on my face. My lad sat there bench resting his and did it more or less every time. So that's how easy it is. If you've got a half decent accurate gun and you've got the right pellets for that gun, if you're not hitting a target, a spin, I don't know, reactive target, or sounding a bell at 50 yards, you're clearly doing something wrong. It's not because me or my son are far superior to everybody else out there. You're clearly doing something wrong, and that's why I find it so boring these days shooting rifles. Because once you've got a half decent one, it doesn't have to be £2,000. I think he paid his gun to buy brand new's about £550. My little MP02, my Kral, my go-to little gun that I use at the shooting clubs is around £360, depending where you buy it from. And I can sit there and hit the bell with that all day if it's not really windy. Obviously if it's windy, then you've got to learn your skills or hone your skills to learn to read wind. I'm not good at that. I'm not very good at all. So pistols, a year ago I wouldn't have looked twice at one. They didn't appeal to me whatsoever. But since acquiring one and watching the Olympic ISSF videos on YouTube, there's a serious talent to hit a bullseye at 10 metres. There's no luck involved, it's pure skill. So I bought this gun, Reximex Mito, and it wasn't all smiles and singing and dancing with this particular gun. I got it from Packs, and at the moment I'm on to my third purchase. This pistol also, this SMK CP1M, came from Packs. I'll go on to the prices of them as the video goes on. But this is it, the Mito W, the one with the walnut grip. But to start the video, before going on any further, I've got to show you how you get the gun, what box it comes in, what it comes with, everything else. But this one was far from perfect. But I got it cheap, and I didn't get it cheap because it was advertised with faults. There was no faults advertised with a gun. Now it's just your luck, I think. Somebody in the comments is going to not argue but say that theirs was perfect, which is good. That's how they all should come. If that was the case, I believe what you're saying, but that's how they all should come. This one had an absolute terrible trigger. It was at least a £7 pull weight. I never actually did test it with a gauge, but from what I've learnt from testing triggers and playing around with them lately with a gauge, I would guess this was £7 or £8 pull weight, and there's no way on this earth you could hit a target with one hand pulling the trigger, because you was pulling yourself off shot every time you fired it, so you were more or less forced to hold it with two hands. So that's not a good start. The open sights, as far as I'm concerned, rubbish. The way that you adjust the end sight for your well, the windage and elevation normally on pistols is controlled on the rear sight, but on this sight the up and down or the elevation is controlled by the front sight. And the way the little grub screws are fitted, they're fitted right to the far end, so that as you adjust it and the sight comes up a little bit, and the sight view is massive because they're quite big sights. This particular gun, I couldn't work out where it was actually shooting, because I couldn't even hit a 14cm square target with the thing. Just by pure luck, I worked out that it was shooting 4 inches to the right of wherever I was aiming, because the gun comes standard out the box with a set rear sight that you can't adjust. Also in a little bag it comes with an adjustable one for windage, so you can go left and right. For some unknown reason, the actual sight was adjusted full left, which would explain it. Somebody has clearly tried to shoot this gun and it was going too far to the right, so they adjusted the rear sight to the left, and even then, with it fully adjusted, it still wasn't shooting down the line accurate. it was 4 inches to the right. So I did take this barrel shroud off, and I looked down and eyed the barrel up to make sure it was in line with the air cylinder, and it was perfect. So I don't know, maybe those sights were machined incorrectly, I'm not sure. But with this red dot sight, this gun is extremely, if you rest the gun and shoot it at 15 yards, you'll get every shot under a 5p piece, so it's very, very accurate. Only let down by open sights that you can't really use, or as far as I'm concerned you can't, and a very poor trigger. Now I know somebody's going to say, well, I've already spoken to somebody who bought one of these and his trigger was fine, but I have read on forums other people that have tried to adjust it, and the little tiny grub screw in the trigger has gone into the block, and they've had to take the gun or get the gun took to pieces to get it sorted. But somebody who's got the time and the patience and knows what they're doing. Now I've adjusted the trigger on this about 5 times, and I've had it down to a £1 pull weight. That's with a gauge, by the way, and it's not guesswork, this is all done with a gauge. I've had it to a £1 pull weight, but at £1 I couldn't get it to have a first stage. It was unpredictable and you didn't quite know when it was going to go off. So I kept playing around with it and playing around with it and taking the grip off and making adjustments, and eventually I settled on a £3 pull weight, and it is predictable, and I can live with that with one hand. I'll put a short video on so you can see me shooting this.
Hold that lock. So you did. Try again. Hold that one. Take it in, let's have a look.
So I think it's agreed. I've got 2 in the bull there, 1 right next to it, look. 2 in the 8, 1 in the 7, and I've badly pulled that and that. I knew as soon as it went off that I'd badly pulled those 3 shots. So it can be shot with one hand now with a £3 pull weight. It's still too hard really. But we'll get over to what you get in the box, and we'll start from the start, which is what I probably should have done. I've gone a bit too far with the detail of this particular gun.